Happy Friday, my Wellish friends. Do I have some shit to tell you this week? I have been stuck in a mental rut for the last week and a half, I would say. So, what better day for a confessions episode? You may notice that I have nails missing. I haven't redone them yet. It's from the mental illness. I've literally eaten them off, not consumed them, okay, but gnawed them off. They were falling apart. Things are good over here. This mental rut has not been like my typical mental ruts, which is always, great. I normally spiral about why my life doesn't look the way I want it to, what I could do to make myself happy. If I just had this, then this. What can it like that like what can I do? Like that throws me into action mode that I'm gonna hyperfixate and do all of these things to fix it. That's typically what it looks like. This time, this is gonna sound a little dark, so strap in. This time it was about my existence, which kind of freaked me out a little bit because I was like, okay, this is different. This is not something that I normally worry about, but it was about if I was likable or lovable and what my purpose was and what's the point. Nobody needs to be worried about me, okay? Let me just throw that out there. Things are I'm fine. But I just that was kind of I just felt dead inside. I was just I just didn't feel good. I would wake up and the mornings are always the worst, when you're in a mental rut, at least from my experience. So it would just be not a good way to start the day, and it would kind of carry through, and I just didn't have a lot of energy. I was still doing the things that I said I was going to do, and I was doing them or am doing them because I know that that is what will pull me out of it, that I have to, still continue to take care of myself, because if I can at least do the bare minimum and take care of myself, it will get better. And that's just kind of what I keep saying, is that this will pass. I always feel good again. I just have to ride this wave and not freak out about the fact that it's happening. So, obviously, I took all of these feelings to therapy and essentially came to this super cool conclusion that I am having a hard time right now because I'm stuck between two values. When I first started therapy, she had me identify what all of my values were. That was one of the very first things I did with her. And it genuinely changed my perspective on how I navigate my life, because I think we know our values, but we actually don't. We haven't sat down and identified what they are and then navigated our lives based on the identified values. They just kind of swirl around in the shitstorm of our mind, kind of navigating our lives based on them, but the lack of intentionality makes things a little clunky, And now, because I'm so trained to make decisions and live my life based on the list of 15 values that I selected from a huge list of values that are the most important to me. Obviously, you can have other values than that, but these are the most important values that you continue to come back to help guide you through your life. I did keep thinking, I feel like I'm battling between two of them. And then when I went to therapy, she said, it sounds like you're stuck between two values. And I was like, holy shit. Okay, yeah, that's what's happening. And the two values that I was caught between are honesty and loyalty. And it's bizarre because I have found myself caught between those two values in several different circumstances in my life. It's definitely a reoccurring pattern that comes up for me. And so when I found myself in a similar situation again, I felt like I wasn't self-abandoning. I was navigating it through that lens and saying, I'm going to choose myself. I'm not going to choose people pleasing or placating other people, even if they don't like it. I'm going to do what is right and best for me. But it just didn't feel enough. It didn't make me feel better. I still was caught in this mental rut, feeling icky and I had done something against my values. And when I had this realization of being caught between honesty and loyalty, it allowed me to get deeper into the self abandonment. Because while it is true that I did choose myself instead of taking the easy route and being palatable and placating others, it was so much more than that. It was such a deeper pattern than that. It was the pattern of always choosing loyalty and breaking that pattern. I so often define myself as loyal to a fault, and it's always bitten me in the ass. I've always been more loyal than anything else because I don't know why. And like maybe that's something that I would love to get deeper in therapy about, because I just think that there's so many things that my deep loyalty affects. And because loyalty is considered a positive characteristic, I don't question it, but I think that it does negatively impact me often. And it's bad when it causes me to abandon my value of honesty. And most of the time, that is honesty with myself that then also causes dishonesty with the people around me. And because I'm not being honest with myself, that's what causes me to self abandon. Let me give some examples to make this a little bit more clear. So I can think of this in multiple situations in my life, but I think that two of the most clear cut examples are from my last two relationships. So in my last relationship, had I been honest with myself and therefore with him, and said I didn't want to be in a relationship with somebody that had a kid, but I felt bad about that because he was just a little kid and I can't hand select what happens and who's in his life and what circumstances have led him to the place he was at, because I loved him and was willing to accept things that I didn't picture for myself, because I thought it was more important to be loyal and to be loyal to him, but also to be loyal to like the right thing to do and loyal to the fact that I can't hand pick my life, or so I thought, because truly you can. And I loved that little boy. I think about him multiple times a week to this day. I treated him with nothing but love the entire time I got to be in his life. But the truth was, I didn't want that for myself. And I wasn't honest about that. I chose loyalty instead. I wasn't honest about not wanting to be with someone who I didn't feel emotionally safe with, that had a toxic mother that treated me poorly and would disrespect me regularly. And I didn't picture that for myself either. I didn't want that for my life, but I chose loyalty instead, because you can't choose your parents, and he acted as though he didn't like it. And I wasn't dating them, I was dating him. So I chose loyalty. Instead of being honest about not wanting to live just a white picket fence life. And I did communicate that over and over. And he convinced me that that's just life, like that's just the way it is. And I need to be happy with it, basically. That I, again, didn't choose honesty with myself. I self abandoned and chose loyalty to him and to the way he thought about life. There's nothing wrong with any of these choices. They just weren't what I wanted. And I wasn't honest with myself about that. And therefore, it caused me to not be honest with others about that. I chose loyalty instead. And it led me to being with someone that was out of alignment with me. In my relationship before that, I chose loyalty when he cheated on me, because I felt he had never been given a true, healthy example of love and of a relationship. And I had grown up with that example. And so I felt I could show him that life could be better. So I chose loyalty instead of being honest with myself and saying, I don't want to be with somebody that would treat me that way, that would disrespect me that way. He was of Hispanic heritage and they did things different culturally than I was used to. And for the most part, that was great. But there were certain things like, for example, giving hugs when you walk into the house, but also that they were not super welcoming. So it wasn't an environment that I felt I wanted to hug people that weren't very kind to me all of the time. So not all of them, but I tried to morph into doing what they wanted for the sake of loyalty instead of being honest and doing what was right for me and what made me feel good. And then recently I broke that pattern and chose honesty instead of loyalty. Now, just in case we've got listens, I did not do what I was accused of. I was loyal, but I didn't people please and placate and say what people wanted to hear. And I was honest with myself about how things made me feel instead of just choosing to support no matter what my values were, no matter what I believed or what my feelings were. And it's really made me feel bad because it's different though, not because I did something wrong. And that's what kind of led me to this point is that I always felt that if I made those choices, like doing what's right for me and not self-abandoning, that it would feel like growth and it would feel good and it would feel empowering, but it feels like guilt sometimes. And sometimes it doesn't feel good. And it's my nervous system interpreting my pattern break as dangerous and unfamiliar and making me feel like I'm a bad person because it's different than what I've ever done. And I don't know what it's like to live like that. And so, because I'm moving differently and I don't have enough evidence to show that I'm okay and still a good person when I make a different choice, my brain immediately goes into frenzy. I mean, I feel that I violated a core identity value of mine, of loyalty. I so deeply to my core identify as a loyal person. Like it is, I'm a Taurus, okay? I'm wearing a Taurus necklace. Like that is like to my core so important to me. It's so important to me to support people. It's so important to me to show up for people no matter what and to have people's backs no matter what. But there is obviously dysfunction in that, in the fact that I will abandon myself to be loyal to other people. And I'm probably being so loyal to other people because I so badly want someone to be that loyal to me. But I don't feel bad because I made the wrong choice. I feel bad because I made a different choice than I've literally ever made in my entire social life. So, because I didn't realize that this was a thing, and I hope that this kind of brings awareness to the fact that it is, I want to give you guys a little bit of advice, even though we don't normally do advice on Fridays, but I just want to give you guys a little bit for how you can navigate when you're caught between two values. Because I hope, like, through this story alone, you can gain some awareness that this is a possibility to happen, because I had never even considered that as something before this. And then you have to know what to do because these are two very important values to you. So, how do you know which one to choose? And my therapist's advice was to pick the one that is more prevalent in the current situation. But I think we even need to back up further than that and first make sure you're identifying the two values that you're caught between. Like knowing what your values are and saying, like, these are the two things that I am battling against right now. And the next thing is really having to accept that it's going to feel uncomfortable choosing one and that you don't get to leave with both of them. Like you have two things that are really important to you. So it's going to be uncomfortable when you go against the one that like another really important value of yours. But you have to decide which value is going to get you closer to the version of you that you want to be. Yes, you will still want to be a version of you that has that value that you're not choosing in this circumstance, but you're looking at the big picture here. Do you want to be using my example, do you want to be a person that is loyal to people and abandons themselves for the sake of loyalty? Or do you want to be a person that's honest with themselves, knows what they believe and stands by it, and then is loyal to that? And until you actually make that decision, you won't have clarity. Like, you're going to be uncomfortable until you make that choice, and then things will start to make sense. It will still be uncomfortable because you're choosing another value over another one, but it will make sense to you and you can kind of keep progressing that way. So, if you are caught in a mental rut, it might not be that something is actually wrong with your life. It might just be that you're in conflict with yourself. If you're someone that's loyal to a fault, this is your space. We are your people. So make sure to subscribe and follow along so we can unlearn it together. And send this to a friend that's always trying to keep the peace, and you want them to know that they don't have to self-abandon to do that, that you will love them anyways, even when they choose honesty with themselves. Fridays are where all of the chaotic thoughts that make up our deep, beautiful, intelligent brains live, and we regurgitate everything that we have been through negatively to live a better life. So everything that I have learned and can give advice on lives on my Monday episodes. So make sure to tune in this Monday for 3 ways you are losing your self-worth daily. Thank you so much for being here. I love you guys endlessly. I hope you have a very fun, a very safe, and a very aligned weekend, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye.